This is Capital Games Movie Club. I am The Wiz. I am counting down to Oscar nominations for the Oscars this year. And today, I am going to talk about who I think will be nominated for Best Director. Of course, the nominations will be announced on January 24th, 2023, and the ceremony will be at March 12th, 2023. Before I get to who's snubbed, I gotta say, if you're gonna have 10 nominees for Best Picture, I guess I understand why they did this, but if you're going to have 10 Best Picture nominations, why not have 10 Best Director nominations? I get why the actor ones are still 5. I get that to a certain extent. But at this point, the link between Best Director and Best Picture has been so defined over the years that it makes no sense at this point to have Best Director be 5 nominations and Best Feature or Best Picture be 10. So I think at this point, at some point they should decide to up the amount of Best Director nominations to 10. But I digress on this one. I'm going to move on from that. The snubs for Best Director, here are the directors that I think will not get nominated for Best Director. And there are some interesting ones I have here. Some that I think I'm going to be right on this, but, you know, if I'm wrong, I'm not going to be too shocked. But here we go. The first director that I think is going to get snubbed are the Daniels for Everything Everywhere All at Once. Now, Everything Everywhere All at Once is going to get nominated for Best Picture. I'm already calling that. I think that's a no-brainer. The problem when it comes to Everything Everywhere All at Once is that even though it's going to get nominated for Best Picture, fantasy really doesn't get nominated for Best Director usually, unless it's a huge scope movie. And from what I have read, that's not Everything Everywhere All at Once. Now, apparently the editing and everything is frenetic, and there are a ton of different things that the movie does that other movies don't really do. This will be something that the Academy will look at and go, next time maybe for the Daniels at this point. This is going to be a year where Best Director will go to a bunch of directors that either have a long-standing career or made big box office or made a splash of some sort. And the Daniels did, but something is telling me that they aren't going to get it this year. This will be a snub, and I think this will be a big snub. I think a lot of people will be surprised that this happens. So I think the Daniels are not going to get nominated for Best Director. The next one is Baz Luhrmann for Elvis. If you were to tell me that cinematography Elvis would get nominated for, I would say, yeah, I would agree. But direction, I don't think so. And the reason why is the movie is utterly reliant on Austin Butler. And Austin Butler is going to get nominated and possibly win for Best Actor. And Luhrmann made some questionable decisions, according to critics and some moviegoers, when it came to Elvis in this movie. So I think this is going to lead to him not getting nominated for Best Director. I don't think he was nominated for Moulin Rouge. I don't think he was. I might be wrong on that, but yeah, I think this will, this will lead to Baz Luhrmann not getting nominated. The next one's Edward Berger for All Quiet on the Western Front. This is the one I think I might get wrong. Edward Berger was just nominated for Best Director at the BAFTAs. His movie was nominated for Best Picture at the BAFTAs. And it kind of makes sense that he might get nominated and his movie might get nominated for Best Picture. I am seeing some other movie getting nominated in place. Or I'm seeing somebody else getting nominated in place of him when it comes to All Quiet on the Western Front. This is not a quality issue. All the buzz and all the word coming out of All Quiet on the Western Front is that it is a great movie, a hard movie to watch at times, but a great movie. So it will be one of those snubs. I think people will be like, oh, that sucks. But unfortunately, that's just the cost of having just 5 picks for Best Director. So yeah, I think Edward Berger gets snubbed for All Quiet on the Western Front. Here's another one that might piss people off. James Cameron for Avatar: The Way of Water. Okay, so Avatar is about to break box office records. I think it's right now the 6th highest grossing film in the world at this point. I think it's 6th at this point. I really don't pay attention to box office too much. But the word with James Cameron's films has been either it's beautiful and it's gorgeous looking, it has great computer generated graphics, everything and all that. But the story is essentially the same. And the Academy Awards does not usually honor directors who essentially make the same movie twice, unless they do something drastically different, which from what it sounds like, Avatar: The Way of Water did not do that. So I think this is going to lead to James Cameron not getting nominated for Best Director for Avatar: Way of Water. Again, I want to say this right off the bat, too. The director spot is one of the tougher ones I had to pick, because I could see a lot of people getting snubbed or being replaced for others. So if it turns out Cameron gets in, I would not be surprised. But I get the feeling that he's not getting in. I think he's going to get snubbed for Best Director. And the last one I think is going to get snubbed is Gina Price Brethwood for The Woman King. This might upset a bunch of people when it comes to who gets snubbed here. I think The Woman King is getting snubbed majorly on all categories this year on the Oscars. I think you're going to find very few nominations for this movie. The movie came out a little too early, so the buzz and talk about it has died down. Even though the direction got some praise, it's got more praise. I think I got more praise on its action than anything else. So there are other action movies that I think got more praise than this. I mentioned this with Viola Davis in the Best Actress category, but Woman King is in a weird halfway point where it's not quite a blockbuster and it's not quite an art house flick. It's kind of both, or it has sensibilities of both. And this is a year I think that the Academy is going to want to honor both. And it's going to be pretty hard to differentiate which is which with The Woman King. Is it a blockbuster movie? Is it an art house film? Is it a message movie? Is it a good time movie? And if they can't correctly identify either or if there's a debate as to which it is, oftentimes what happens is it gets snubbed and it gets left out. So I think that will lead to Gina Price Brethwood getting snubbed for The Woman King as Best Director. All right, so here are my picks for the 5 who I predict will be the nominees for Best Director. The first one's obvious, Steven Spielberg for The Fabelmans. I mean, I think this is going to be his 7th Academy Award nominee. I don't quote me on that. I'm possibly wrong. Whenever he has a halfway decent to good movie coming out nowadays, he gets nominated for Best Director. It's just a foregone conclusion. It just happens. And this is a movie that is getting a lot of praise, and it is ostensibly about him. So they're going to want to honor him with another Best Director nomination for a movie that is about him, essentially. So I think Steven Spielberg will get nominated for The Fabelmans for Best Director. Next one's Martin McDonagh for The Banshees of Inisherin. Some think this might not happen because what makes Banshees a great movie is the writing and not necessarily the directing. And that might be true, but Martin McDonagh has been making great films for a while now that has not gotten a lot of praise from the Academy. And this is around that time where the Academy is going to say, okay, we've got to honor this guy. And writing and screenplay won't be enough. So they will give him, I think they will give him a nomination for director. But if he wins something, it will probably be in writing. But he'll get nominated for Best Director for Banshees of Inisherin on this one, I believe. The next one's Todd Field for Tar. I'm looking at Todd Field as basically a nomination that something along the lines of how Terry Malick got a nomination. Todd Field spent a number of years not making films, came back to make another film and hit it out of the park. Same thing that Terrence Malick did when he came back after The Thin Red Line. That right there impresses people and will lead to the Academy looking at his film and saying that he should get a Best Director nomination. And on top of that, Tar is a movie that, when it comes down to it, the Academy loves those types of films and will want to put them in as many categories as possible, which I think will lead to Todd Field getting nominated for Tar. Okay, so here's some surprises. The next one I think will get Best Director nomination is Joseph Kosinski for Top Gun Maverick. I might eat these words on this, but there seems to be a push in the past few years where the Academy wants to honor at least one blockbuster in Best Picture, Best Actor, or any of the acting categories, or in the director category. And I think Top Gun Maverick is going to be that one. Again, this could be replaced with James Cameron, but I don't think that's happening because James Cameron's film, although visually impressive, to some isn't as good or is about as good as the first Avatar. The talk of Top Gun Maverick is that it is better than Top Gun in a number of ways, and it is just a great looking movie as well with the special effects that it has. So I think this will essentially lead to Joseph Kosinski getting nominated for Best Director for Top Gun Maverick. This could get replaced with James Cameron. I think it's going to be Kosinski who gets the director nod. And here's the big surprise that I think will happen. The final nominee that I think will get Best Director is S.S. Rajamouli for RRR. I cannot tell you how many people talk about RRR. And I am basing this off of social media, of course, and of critics as well in this. RRR was talked about constantly for months when it was released on Netflix. Months! And with the popularity of Naatu Naatu, the song that's in RRR, it will probably get an Oscar nomination, and it's getting a lot of praise. And you're going to have you're going to have Academy Award voters looking at that and go, wait, what is this from? Wow, that looks great. I watched the song for Naatu Naatu. It is crazy what they do. But they'll want to look at it and go, wait, whoa, what is this movie from? And they put on RRR, and guess what? I think this will lead to RRR making a lot of award nominations on this. I think it's going to surprise a lot of people. And the big surprise, I think, will not just be this, but another category as well, which we'll get to. But I think this will lead to S.S. Rajamouli getting Best Director nominations for RRR. The other thing I want to point out as well, the Academy Awards have been trying to put more movies from other countries into Best Director and Best Picture. They've been making a concerted effort to do that. Look at last year with Drive My Car and Ryusuke Yamaguchi. Look at Cold War with Paolo Pawlowski. Look at Bong Joon-ho and Parasite. These are just the past 5 years that they've been putting foreign films in Best Director categories. This is also not a new thing, too. The Diving Bell and the Butterfly got nominated as Best Director in 2002, I think. This is not a new thing, but they're making a more concerted effort to do that. Now, you might say, well, Wiz, why not Edward Berger for All Quiet on the Western Front? Why not Park Chan-wook for Decision to Leave? Why not Ruben Östlund for Triangle of Sadness? All of those are good picks, and I get why you might think those might get it over S.S. Rajamouli. I just think that the Oscars are going to make a more concerted effort to have crowd-pleasing films, films that got buzz, films that got a lot of people talking. And if there's one foreign language film that did it this year, it's RRR. And this is why I think I think that's why S.S. Rajamouli will get Best Director nominations this year at the Oscars. Okay, so here are my 5 predicted nominees for Best Director. Steven Spielberg for The Fabelmans, Martin McDonagh for The Banshees of Inisherin, Todd Field for Tar, Joseph Kosinski for Top Gun Maverick, and S.S. Rajamouli for RRR. The Oscars are going to be announced on Tuesday, January 24th, 2023, with the ceremony being on March 12th, 2023. We have one more category to go, so tune in next time where I talk about who I think will get a Best Picture nomination this year at the Oscars. This is the Capital Games Movie Club. I am The Wiz. Talk to you next time. Bye.